I'm Eric Anderson. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, a consumer group is saying no to the proposed settlement over San Onofre. Another school shooting, this time in Washington State. 2 students are dead. A Texas nurse gets a clean bill of health tonight after being treated for Ebola.
It didn't make a lot of sense, but instead what happened is it brought us together as a community.
It's been 20 years since California voters passed Proposition 187. The law got overturned, but it has had a lasting impact. We'll have a look back.
Range is hot!
We'll also take a look at some new technology for monitoring police. It tracks when they draw and fire their guns.
You don't want to come here. Don't do this. It's not fun. It hurts. I'm not going to let you out. You're going to regret ever coming here.
And we'll take you to a haunted house so extreme that its owner doesn't want you to go. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Dwayne Brown is off tonight. San Diego Consumer Advocate Group is calling for a halt to negotiations over who should pay for the problems at the San Onofre Nuclear plant. The facility shut down last year. Critics say the settlement should not be finalized until an investigation into 2 public utilities commissioners is complete. Commissioner Michael Peavy has already decided to step down at the end of the year after being linked to improper communications with Pacific Gas and Electric. That's the utility involved in the San Bruno gas line explosion. Ray Lutz is with Citizens Oversight Project. He says there's circumstantial evidence that the same kind of collusion is happening between CPUC commissioners and the operator of the San Onofre plant, Southern California Edison. He says the agency is trying to push the settlement through without an investigation into the plant's faulty steam generators.
Commission works with these utilities on a day-to-day and hour-by-hour basis, sending things back and forth as if they're in the same company in the same department. It's not like they're a regulator and then a regulated industry. It's like they're working together, and they're blocking the ratepayers. We believe that the settlement should be thrown out, and we should still go through the investigation, of course. And so, because what they've done is architected a settlement without ever getting to the bottom of what happened.
Some ratepayer advocate groups say the settlement is a good deal. The agreement has ratepayers covering $3.3 billion of the cost of shutting down San Onofre prematurely. The CPUC could make a final decision on that settlement agreement November 20th. UC San Diego Medical Center has been named a priority hospital for dealing with Ebola if it ever arrives in California. The state's other 4 UC medical centers are also priority hospitals. The state health department says it'll help the hospitals get whatever safety gear they need. All 5 facilities are positioned to accept and treat Ebola patients. A Texas nurse who got Ebola from a patient is out of the hospital, but the virus has now appeared in New York. We have the latest from Matthew Burion of the Associated Press.
As a New York doctor begins his treatment for Ebola, another healthcare worker has been released after surviving the virus.
I feel fortunate and blessed to be standing here today.
Nina Pham, one of 2 nurses in Dallas who became infected with Ebola while treating Thomas Eric Duncan, was released from the NIH Clinical Center outside of Washington on Friday after multiple tests showed no more virus left in her blood.
I join you in prayer now for the recovery of others, including my colleague and friend Amber Vinson and Dr. Craig Spencer.
Pham later met with President Obama at the White House. Meanwhile, a team of disease detectives have been tracing Doctors Without Borders' Craig Spencer's movement after he became the latest person infected with Ebola in the U.S. Spencer left the West African country of Guinea October 14th, traveled to Brussels, arriving at JFK Airport in New York on the 17th. On Tuesday of this week, he visited Manhattan's Highline Park in a popular restaurant called the Meatball Shop. On Wednesday, he went running on Riverside Drive, later taking the A and the L subway trains to a bowling alley in Brooklyn. Thursday morning, Spencer took his temperature. After reporting a 100.3 fever, he was taken from his Harlem home to Bellevue Hospital.
New Yorkers who have not been exposed to an infected person's bodily fluids are simply not at risk. And there's no reason for New Yorkers to change their daily routine in any way.
Spencer remains in stable condition while in isolation. His fiancée and 2 friends have been quarantined but are showing no symptoms. Matthew Burgoyne, Associated Press.
San Diego company says it has developed a 10-minute test for Ebola. Genolite says its test analyzes a single drop of blood to find Ebola proteins before a patient even shows symptoms. A company spokesman says they're submitting information about the experimental test to federal regulators, trying to get an okay for emergency use. PBS NewsHour will have more on the response to Ebola in the United States. That's coming up tonight at 7. County health officials say a Palomar College student recovering from meningococcal disease has the same strain that killed a San Diego State freshman last week. They say they found no connection between the 2 students. Tests found both got serotype B, a strain that's not covered by vaccines currently used here in the United States. 2 students are dead and 4 are wounded in a shooting at a high school north of Seattle. Police say one of the dead is the gunman who killed himself. 3 of the injured students are in critical condition. Police have not said anything yet about a motive for the shooting at Pilchuck High School in Marysville. San Diego police are currently testing body cameras to record police interactions with the public. A Central Coast startup, meanwhile, has come up with another way to track police activity, alerting dispatchers when an officer draws his gun and fires. The AP's Haven Daily has that story.
Range is hot!
When an officer fires a gun, police dispatch and backup need to know right away. That's where a Silicon Valley startup aims to help out.
So we're connecting the firearm to the internet. And from there, we can do a lot of things with it.
The new technology can notify dispatch when a gun's been unholstered and when it's been fired in real time. It can also track where the gun is located and in what direction it was fired.
The officer simply inserts it into the back of the firearm, and now it's installed. They don't even know it's there anymore.
The small device fits inside the handle of most police handguns without any alterations and connects to the officer's smartphone using Bluetooth. 2 law enforcement agencies are currently testing the technology, the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Department and another agency outside Dallas.
We're going to be able to see in real time if our officers are in trouble and they're unable to ask for assistance. That's the worst nightmare for any police officer in the field.
Unlike controversial smart guns, which can control who fires the privately owned gun, Yardem Technology says it's focused on law enforcement only. If the trials go well, the company says the new technology will be available to other departments next year. Haven Daily, Associated Press, Watsonville, California.
A safer bike route is on the way for riders making their way between San Diego's Mid-City area and Mission Valley. The San Diego Association of Governments has approved using $1.8 million to finance a 1-mile bike path along Interstate 15. It'll run between Adams Avenue and Camino del Rio South. The project is nearly 3 decades in the making and is part of a large bike path plan. The new bike path is expected to be ready by 2017. Tomorrow is Clean the Bay Day in San Diego, the event focusing on South Shores Park in Mission Bay. San Diego Coastkeeper says the park has often had trash problems. They're asking volunteers to come with kayaks or paddleboards so they can get into the water and get at the trash that's out of reach from the shore. The cleanup event runs from 8 to 11 a.m. "20 years ago, California voters overwhelmingly passed Proposition 187, a measure to keep public services from being provided to those in the United States illegally. It was later struck down in federal court, but as Scott Schaefer of KQED shows us, Prop 187's legacy is still being felt today.
Democrat Lorena Gonzalez was a grad student when Prop 187 was on the ballot. But as the campaign heated up, Gonzalez says her mother convinced her to pursue public service.
I think if you can identify one thing that single-handedly brought together the Latino community to empower themselves and start ensuring that people who were qualified could get their citizenship, making sure that they were registered to vote, making sure that they actually voted, it was Prop 187.
The daughter of a farm worker from Mexico, Gonzalez says her family, in fact most Latinos she knew, felt personally targeted by the measure, regardless of whether they were here legally or not. Among the most controversial proposals was a ban on letting illegal immigrants use non-emergency health care and other publicly funded services. It would also have prevented undocumented children from attending public schools, while requiring school districts to verify citizenship of all students and their parents.
The way Prop 187 was written, it could have really torn apart families. Children who were in my position here, legally born here, might be afraid to have their parent come to a parent-teacher conference. It didn't make a lot of sense, but instead what happened is it brought us together as a community.
This is the border crossing shown in a 1994 TV ad for Governor Pete Wilson. Its provocative images of people streaming illegally into California from Mexico helped propel Wilson to a landslide re-election.
They keep coming. 2 million illegal immigrants in California.
This fall, we can send a message to Washington to stop illegal immigration by passing Proposition 187, the SOS Initiative.
Pete Nunez, a co-author of Prop 187, served as U.S. Attorney for San Diego under President Ronald Reagan.
We're standing just beyond the port of entry at San Ysidro, California. It's the busiest land port of entry in the world. 20 years ago, most of what you see here today wasn't here then because it was overrun by illegal immigrants. There was no fence, there were no lights, there were no cameras. So it really served as sort of the focal point for everything that was wrong with our immigration policy.
Nunez says the measure tapped into public anger over illegal immigration.
The state of California had recently done a study at the cost to taxpayers, and it was in the billions of dollars. So the idea was we needed to save California from this ongoing invasion from Mexico.
Public outrage over illegal immigration was so strong that some Democrats, including Senator Dianne Feinstein, who was up for re-election that year, started talking tough on border security.
Many nights, 3,000 illegal immigrants try to cross this border. Our Border Patrol agents are outnumbered 60 to 1.
One of the few California Republicans who spoke out against Prop 187 was Ron Unz. He challenged Governor Wilson in the 1994 primary, warning that anti-immigrant measures were bad for California and for the GOP.
The main impact has been that the Republican Party of California, which had been the dominant party on the national level for decades, has been destroyed. There effectively is almost no Republican Party left in California. It's not a viable statewide party. And the reason for that is that the party ended up becoming viewed as incredibly hostile to the new immigrant groups in the state, who are now an important part of the electorate.
Stanford political science professor Gary Segura studies Latino voting trends.
Let's remember that what Prop 187 did was it authorized state workers to withhold government services from anyone they suspected of being an undocumented alien. And so even Latinos of several generations in the United States felt like it really was targeted towards the entire Latino population.
Segura points out that before 1994, Latinos and other immigrant groups often split their votes between Republicans and Democrats. But the fear Prop 187 provoked changed all that.
As a consequence, people mobilized. Latinos started registering to vote. Latinos got very active.
After the 1994 election, the federal courts invalidated most of Prop 187, so it was never enforced. But 20 years later, the issue of illegal immigration still sparks strong feelings in California. This summer, demonstrators protested the large number of unaccompanied minors entering the U.S. illegally from Central America.
We don't want you here!
Angry crowds in Murrieta, just north of San Diego County, blocked a bus with undocumented women and children heading to a government processing facility. It was a reminder that public concern over illegal immigration still lingers, says Republican activist Dolores Chavez Harms.
We have this high influx of kids that are coming from Central America, and Prop 187 was primarily to prevent state funds for covering public welfare for the illegal immigrants into the state.
Things have gotten worse. Illegal immigration is worse. In 1994, we had thought maybe 2 or 3 million. We now have 11 to 12 million people in the country illegally. So we have gone entirely in the wrong direction.
The political direction in California is being driven by changing demographics. This year, Latinos edged past non-Hispanic whites as the single largest race or ethnic group in California. And voter attitudes have changed too. A recent field poll found that 90% of voters supported a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who learn English and pay back taxes.
All members vote who desire to vote.
And with Latino legislators flexing their muscles in Sacramento, new laws have been passed helping undocumented immigrants. At the San Jose office of the nonprofit Siren, staff attorneys advise clients on how to navigate the new legal landscape. One new law allows undocumented immigrants to get a driver's permit starting in January. And young people who came to the U.S. illegally can obtain work permits without fear of deportation. Assemblywoman Gonzalez marvels at how much California policy toward immigrants has changed since Prop 187 passed.
Nobody anymore will say that a Latino immigrant or a child of an immigrant can't be part of the American dream. That's now what California expects. That is the California dream story.
The race in the 52nd Congressional District becomes costly, nasty, and very weird. And Proposition 1, a $7.5 billion water bond, features lots of water projects and ads paid for by Governor Brown's reelection fund. I'm Mark Sauer. Join us for the KPBS Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
New rare bird at the San Diego Zoo. It's a brown kiwi, just hatched yesterday. That makes 4 kiwis here in San Diego. The birds are on the endangered species list. Only 6 zoos in the U.S. have them, and San Diego is one of those zoos. You know, every year a group of self-proclaimed mountain men set up camp for 10 days in the mountains north of Julian. They live like authentic 1800s Rocky Mountain fur traders. KPBS video journalist Katie Shulov takes us inside the Living History Camp, which is open to the public today and tomorrow.
My name is Lon Atkinson. My mountain man name is Weasel Breath. Laguna Rendezvous started 40 years ago, and it's recreating the mountain man rendezvous that took place in the early 1800s, where the fur traders would come and trade their goods, their furs, to get powder and ball and guns.
My name is Mike Robinson. My camp name is Hat Man. Obviously, as you can see, I make hand-sewed hats out of fur. This is a buffalo headdress that the Plains Indians would make, okay?
This is a traditional Plains teepee.
We consider it a living history because we're trying to recreate, in the way we camp and the way we dress, the way they would have had at that time during the rendezvous. We also consider living history because we teach it to people that come. We'll demonstrate the tools that are used, we'll show them the guns that we've shot, and we have competition in muzzle loading, rifle shooting, smoothbore shooting, which would be shotgun shooting with flintlock. We have tomahawk throwing.
Bring it forward just like you're holding a hammer. Bring it back and bring it forward and just let go of it.
The mountain men, they're kind of heroes. Number one, they went out and they captured animals and killed them and so forth, but they also made many of the trails that became the trails that the people going west followed. I was laying on my tent last night, looking at my fur coat hanging on the tent pole and my candle lantern, and which the smell of beeswax, and thinking, this is really neat. This is so special. I used to backpack a lot. This is better at backpacking. There's such a feeling here. We set up last night for a couple hours around a campfire, listening to music from the 1800s.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, legendary singer Tony Bennett on performing with Lady Gaga for a new PBS special. That's Friday on the PBS News Hour.
Okay, if the term haunted house makes you think of something like Disney's Haunted Mansion, we're going to ask you to think again. This is a story that some viewers might find a bit disturbing. It's a new trend in extreme haunts that offers people a chance to have the victim experience and be made a participant in their own horror movie, so to speak, for up to 8 hours. Again, the story not for the faint of heart. KPBS arts and culture reporter Beth Accomando taking us behind the scenes of one of the top-rated extreme haunts in the nation, McKamey Manor, which is located somewhere in San Diego County. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Who would you be, young lady?
I would be Beth.
You'd be Beth.
Yes.
So I heard that you actually want to see what McKamey Manor is all about.
Yes.
Is that true?
I kind of want the light experience, though.
The light experience. We can do that. So, but you're going to get the very sissy, girly tour. So you want to say goodbye to your friend right there?
Hi. Welcome, pawns, to McKamey Manor. No one will save you. No one will hear you. No one. It's just you and us now.
Do you have her camera?
What about the audio gear?
Yep, they have it.
You're ours now. You're gonna have a lot of fun with us, huh?
You okay, Beth?
Yes.
Are you worried, Beth?
A little.
Beth, I want you to get inside, Beth.
Don't touch. Don't touch. Just get inside.
Scoot it down.
Do you understand how long you're gonna be here?
Yes, forever.
Forever!
This does not bode well for me.
That's not good, is
No.
it? No. Let's count back, everybody.
3, 2, 1.
I'm going to let you take off your camera and you're going to interview me now.
All right. Can I take off the hood?
Absolutely. Take off your hood. My name is Russ McKamey. I'm the owner and creator of McKamey Manor, the world's most extreme haunted house. Even though that's not what you're seeing right now, you're seeing a very toned down, just a little nothing version right now. We can't give away too many secrets. Scaring is fun. Once you scare somebody the first time, your first boo, that's addicting. Now ramp it up about 1,000%, and now put people in genuine panic mode. Sounds mean, but to be that close and to see what you created, and you know they're okay. In reality, you know they're okay, but in their mind, they're not okay. And to see that come together, something that you created, is very satisfying for sure.
Hello, beautiful!
You said you were okay with cockroaches, Madagascar.
Madagascar ones?
You told me you were okay with that.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
It's like they went in there, babe.
No.
Are you sure? Now you got a choice now.
No, I don't want to go in there.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2.
I'll try dinner.
Open wide.
Don't you throw up. Don't you throw up on us. When I constructed these haunts, I built them around my fears, things that freak me out. So there's no way in the world I would ever be able to do my own haunt. You would never see me running through McKamey Manor.
You ever heard of axle grease, my dear?
You know, they want me to dress for success to go on TV. Do you think this counts?
Absolutely. You see what I have here, my dear? Can you tell me what this is?
It's a blade. Have you ever been called sadistic?
No! Oh. No, sadistic, no!
I'll just give it back and it does too. We just wring them out, we use them again later.
People beg to come here. Beth, they want to be here.
Goodbye.
Let's get her out of here.
Thank you. So, you are actually not a professional haunt, though, correct?
Correct. This is a home haunt, even though we're in different locations. But yeah, this is something we do just for the love of it. No one's making a single penny on this. It's purely for the fans. We have a large fan base. The folks that want to come here and the folks that I can't talk out of going are just a real hardcore extreme fans, the ones that want that adrenaline rush, the ones that can't get scared at other boo haunts. Over here, they're not going to be bored, that's for sure. People that come here really feel like they're family, and we feel like they're family after they go through as well. They just feel like it's kind of a badge of honor to go through McKamey Manor.
This is Beth Accomando for KPBS News at McKamey Manor, and I just met Mary. Okay, so this is what I look like after coming out of the sissy tour of McKamey Manor. So this is kind of what I look like, and if you could smell, it's a mix of raw sewage, mildew, and I think rainforest. Not very pleasant. Anyway, I'm gonna shower now.
Beth's got a more in-depth look at extreme haunts on her Cinema Junkie blog at kpbs.org, so check it out if you dare. You can also find the rest of tonight's stories at kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. Hope you have a great weekend.